the name on the programme, I'm Chris Turnock from Northumberland University, but I'm one of a team, and it's going to be a double act. It's now afternoon, isn't it? My title is Head of LTech at Northumberland University, and that's very much the organisation that runs the VLE, and it's very much associated with VLE and other technologies that are used in learning and teaching activity at the university. On my left,
Woodhouse, I'm the IT Services Director, so I've got overall responsibility for the vast majority of technology, systems, network, etc. at Northumberland University.
Sat at the back, I don't know what he's doing at the moment, is Eric. There we are, Eric. And Eric was the project lead on this, and Eric's an academic working in our School of Design. The other missing name there is a chap called Ben Lovett, who's a member of my team. He's a learning technologist. And it's nearly impossible to get Ben to come south of the River Tyne, even all the way to York. So this presentation forms one of three presentations today. I think it's the first plenary this afternoon. We will actually have some of the students who are recipients of the project presenting and talking about their experiences. And then in the, I think I'm correct, the final concurrent sessions, Eric's going to talk about his experience, or our experiences with the tools that we were trying to use. So for this session, we're going to very much focus on security aspects of the project. And what we're going to do is Jed's going to kick off and say a little bit about kind of general threats to security to the university, and start to give you a feel for what's going on in our experiences, which I presume would be fairly typical of any larger university or other large organisation globally. We're then going to talk a bit about the kind of the learning and teaching activity that Eric's run for quite a number of years at Northumbria, and kind of some of the challenges experienced with that, and how we've attempted through the funding for this project to address those, but particularly with a security aspect in mind. Eric will talk much more about the different tools and how effective they were, and the students will give you the students' perspective. So I'm just going to hand you over to Jed to now put the fear of God into you.
Hopefully not. Quite often in IT we get asked, why can't I just do this? Why can't I just download some software, put it onto my PC? Why is it always a technician that's got to do these kind of things? Don't we trust us? And the thing is, yes, we do trust the vast majority of our users, but unfortunately there are some nasty people out there. Malware, the general term for anything nasty you can get on your PC, such as a virus, things like lucky keystrokes and things like that, it's all generally called malware. As you can see, it's actually expanded quite a lot from a few years ago. So for a whole 15 years, there was only 358,000 different kinds of nasty pieces of software out there. By 2008, there was 3,500 new ones per day, and it's actually just keeping going up and up and up. There's just a load of nasty things out there trying to get onto your PCs or the university PCs. So what's wrong? What do these nasty things do? Well, there's things called keyloggers, and what they do basically is they hide away in the background, monitoring what you're doing with your PC, trying to get information off you. Things like passwords, so you're logging into your system, and as you're logging in, it's remembering those details, and so the next time you switch your PC, some other machine can take off, some other person can take control of your PC. And it can also take credit card and bank details as well. There's actually some quite cheeky software out there that will actually pretend to fix your computer. If you don't press this button now, you're going to get a virus, because as soon as you press it, you've got a virus. And what happens then? Well, the PC can then become what's called a robot. It becomes remote controlled by somebody or some other people, and they then take over your machine. And apparently there are websites that you can go into in Russia, and you can hire out PCs 1,000 at a time for an hour at a time. I think it costs $100 for 1,000 PCs an hour. And basically, you specify what you want those PCs to do, and somebody will put, because they've hacked those machines and taken remote control of them, they can say, right, okay, do you want to send out 15 million spam email messages? Yeah, we can do that. And also your PC can become a base for an attack, particularly trying to get into an institution or into a company, you get one machine gets hacked, and then that becomes a base for actually attacking a lot of other ones. We had that last year. It was one of those innocent things, which was somebody wanted to look at a particular video, and it popped up saying, if you want to play this video, you've got to install the software first. Do you want to do that? Yes. They said yes. That machine then became a base for attack, and the whole of that earth, which was effectively one wing of the university, had to be snipped off on the network while we went around each individual machine and cleaned it off. How did it happen? Most common one is opening an email. You get an email saying, here are the details you've asked for. You go, ooh, for there. I don't quite remember asking for them. I'll open anyway. You've got it. One I've just mentioned, installing a new video or a new piece of software. Free software quite often has some nasty stuff in it. Instant Messenger. If anybody's got kids in the room using things like Microsoft's MSN and things like that, the kids are always sharing files, and that's how they get attacked. Also, LimeWire. Does anybody use LimeWire, or do their offspring use LimeWire? It's supposed to be a music sharing system, but actually anything can get shared, and something like 30% of the traffic that's going around LimeWire is actually infected. Installation through coercion. There was a situation a few years ago where one of these things, you must get them quite regularly, which is your online bank account has expired, please log in and update your credit card details or whatever, which is interesting because you think, well, I'm not even using that bank. But there's one that was, I think it was in a Norwegian company, where they said, somebody has got hold of all our customers' private details, please can you install this software to prevent your machine being attacked? The vast majority of the people install that software, which of course was a virus. And also there's one that they called a drive-by infection, which is that you go to a website and purely by visiting the website you've got software on a machine that you don't really need to get. Let's go back. And one of the other things in terms of the drive-by is quite often the nasty people in the world will buy website addresses that are very similar to the one you really want to go to. I can't think of a particular example off the top of my head, but you'll mistype an address, go to it, it looks like where you wanted to go, but it's not the right one, and again you've been infected. So why do they do it? Financial gain. Well, actually, they want to be able to grab your machine and hire it out, or they want your access to your bank account details. Somebody I know a couple of weeks ago lost £3,000 out of their account because they actually fell for that spam email. You can get a very slow machine, which is, from a technical point of view, that's quite often how you recognise somebody's got hold of your machine, because it's switching it on and you think, why is it so slow? You're ringing the help desk saying, my machine's slow, can I have a new one? Somebody comes and checks it, and of course it's being attacked. And also the machine itself will just crash, and you're trying to use it and it just doesn't work properly. This is a fairly typical chart from our networking team, showing the amount of attacks we get on our network during the day. And as you can see there, it's actually peaking at just under 1,700, and that's 1,700 a minute. So our network is having to resist that kind of attack from the outside world. You can see it seems to not bother. There's not too much on the weekend for some reason, so we must only be doing it while we're at work on it. Well, yes, that's and in some circumstances that's actually quite low. So it's actually literally hundreds of attacks per second on our network. Quite scary, really, isn't it?
So,
You want to take over?
Yeah, I'll take over, yeah.
So we've got a scenario. Eric's an academic, and like many academics, fails to understand why there could be this caution on the part of their central IT department to let them kind of do whatever it is that they want to do. And I think that is a fairly typical situation in most universities. Certainly Northumbria has been very risk averse. That's fair to say. And Eric's got this really interesting project called Global Studio that he's been running for a number of years, and basically he wants students at various universities globally, so not just Northumbria students, but students in other universities, to collaborate on business-related projects. It's a really, it's a really interesting, innovative approach. It certainly presses lots of our university's agendas about globalisation of learning, business engagement. But the problem that exists is, particularly for the purposes of today's session, is how do we protect our infrastructure? As Jed's kind of very eloquently said, we're being constantly attacked. There is an awful lot of kind of risk at trying to do this, and trying to find ways to address it. This kind of gives you a feel of the scale of what Eric's has been trying to do. And the business partners are very kind of well-known names. Two that spring to mind are Intel and Motorola, which virtually everybody will have heard of. And as you can see, in terms of, it is working around the world. We've got RMIT in Australia, Honeck and Seoul in South Korea, Delft in the Netherlands, a bit closer to home, Edinburgh Napier, and Inverness Medical School, and then we go over to the States in Ohio State, and it's Great Southern Wood Preserving. Is that a business? But that's a company, yeah. So we've got kind of a whole range of partners, and over the last 3-4 years, 4 industry partners, 6 universities, and trying to get the students to collaborate. And I don't want to say too much because I think the students will probably give you a feel for that. But this has been a challenge to make it work effectively, particularly. That's probably going to give you a list of who they are. The challenges. So you've got students and academics in different universities, business partners. The challenges are around how to effectively communicate. And how to safely communicate, right? And how to be able, particularly, to document share, and to collaborate and work live on documents. And in terms of security, there's a notion of software and materials that are moving around, and the types of the software to be used and the threats they potentially hold to the individual partners. There will be license constraints, so in terms of broadening out security, how we think about it, most universities will have a proprietary VLE, so there will be the constraints of the license, so you can't allow students from other universities to have access to your VLE. That's certainly true of our university. And you've got the kind of the security needs of the business partner. That's not just about the technical infrastructure of those organisations, but there's also the intellectual copyright security reasons around the work that the students are doing. Because these student projects weren't just kind of learning and teaching projects for the sake of the students developing knowledge and skills in kind of designing materials for industry. These were projects where companies were going to take the students' work and develop them into real commercial products, right? So clearly there's commercial sensitivities there. So there's a whole range of security concerns that need to be addressed, and one of the problems is finding the most effective way to do that. And until, and some of the problems that we were having were was trying to use a wiki, get the students to collaborate either in real time or asynchronously, but we were struggling to get a wiki to work with any institutional authentication system, because what do we do about the students at another university? It's a completely different authentication system, but both institutions are very reluctant to start and share that information. And certainly within Europe, you've got both British legislation and EU legislation are going to cause all sorts of constraints.
Can I just jump in there also in terms of the integration with authentication? At the same time,